Welcome to Science News on Channel First Period. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Anna.
Welcome!
Hello everybody. To get started, we'll just start with a segment from Vicky Vocab to help you learn some helpful science vocabulary.
Hey y'all, I'm Vicky Vocab, visited from the South on Science News. We're going to have some fun talking about vocab.
Vicky Vocab, just a little heads up. Some of these will be further explained with Eleanor equations and balancing Betty. So let's get started with some vocab fun. Don't worry, dollface, it'll be great. Okay, so a chemical reaction. That would be when a change in which one or more substances are converted into new substances, okay? Okay. Reactants. Have a little example. Reactants, the substances that react in an equation. Reactions. So A and B don't face, these are reactants, and then this yields A and B, which are products. Now, a chemical equation is a way to describe a chemical reaction using chemical formulas and other symbols. Okay, now a combustion reaction. This occurs when a substance reacts with oxygen to produce energy in the form of heat or light. Light. Okay. Oxidation would be the loss of electrons. Reduction would be the gain of an electron. A catalyst is a substance that speeds up a chemical reaction without being permanently changed itself. So this is when you might have an experiment going on and you have different things that should explode, and if you have to put it over a Bunsen burner for like an hour or something, you can put in a catalyst to speed up the process. Like a Bunsen burner is one because you could just let it sit in the sun or something until it gets really warm, but a catalyst could be something like a Bunsen burner. Now, an inhibitor is something that can slow down a reaction. So if you have a reaction that maybe goes too fast or you want to see more details, you could always slow it down with an inhibitor. I mean, why not? And now we're moving on to a person. He did have a very big role. Antoine Lavoisier. So as you can tell by the name, he was a French chemist. A French chemist that established that the total mass of products is always equal the sum of reactants. So, once again back to this equals this, no matter what. They will always be equal. Finally, just a little review in case you don't remember, because this does have to do with several things. A compound is made up of two elements. So, a compound is just when they're together. So that will help you.
Now presenting all the way from Hawaii, Balancing Betty.
See, this is equation number 1, and the C, the H, and the O are all of our elements. So I'm just going to count how many of each element are on each side of the equation. Okay, so we have 5 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens on this side. On this side, we have only 1 carbon because there's no subscript. We have 2 hydrogens and 3 oxygens because there's number 2 subscript right here and no subscript for this one, so that's 3. Now we're going to add in some coefficients to make everything equal on each side. So as you can see, we have 5 carbons over here and only 1 over here. So we want to get them both to an equal number. So we are going to add a 5 right here. So now we have 5 carbons. So now they're equal. Now we're going to have to make the hydrogens equal because there's 12 over here and only 2 over here. So what we're going to do is add a 6 right here because 6 times 2 is 12 and 12 and 12. So now they're balanced.
Oh my goodness, it's Eleanor equation all the way from Mexico.
Hola, me llamo Eleanor Equation.
How are you?
Estoy bien, también yo hablo inglés.
Okay, so now we will be going over reactions. A synthesis reaction. That is when two or more substances that combine to form another substance. which is really an element plus an element equals a compound. This is like they said, when you have two separate elements, they form together to form a compound. In review is that compound is two elements together. So synthesis is forming a compound. Okay, now decomposition. Decomposition happens to pretty much be the opposite. Decomposition occurs when one substance breaks down or decomposes into two or more substances. For example, a compound yields an element plus an element. So here we have a compound, and a compound, like I said, is two elements together, and then this breaks down into the two separate elements. So like I said earlier, decomposition is breaking down a compound into elements, and synthesis is two elements forming a compound. So these are opposites. Now we are going over single displacement. The single displacement is when one element replaces another element in a compound. For example, we have AB plus C yields AC plus B. This is showing that a compound plus an element makes another compound plus element, but they have switched the order. So now the B over here is not part of this compound. It is now AC, so this element forms this compound. Now double displacement is very similar. It is when the positive ion of one compound replaces the positive ion of the other two new compounds. For example, AB plus CD yields AC plus BD. This is showing that this order was completely changed up. Two places of elements were moved. So this is just showing that elements are moved in the compounds to form different compounds, but they are always balanced.
Now presenting our next guest all the way from Perry, Miss Rebecca Reaction. Very excited to teach at Café Lamboley.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Rebecca Reaction.
How are you, Rebecca?
Ça va bien. Je parle en anglais aussi.
Great.
Salut! Today we're going to talk about reactions. Exergonic reactions are when less energy is required to break the original bonds that is released when new bonds form. Next, there's an exothermic reaction, when the energy given off is primarily in the form of thermal energy. After that, endergonic reaction is a chemical reaction requires more energy to break bonds that is released when a new one is formed. Lastly, endothermic reaction, when energy needed is in the form of thermal energy. Merci, c'est très bon. Au revoir.